Okay, we are rolling with Greg Shannon. How you doing, Greg? Out in Edmonton this morning where it's nice and a balmy 30 Celsius. Just coming in from suntanning and
-2 with the wind chill. It's like -12 and change or something. So yeah, not really used to it. Not really ready for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty early. So nice to have you on. Of course, over to my other side, co-host today, Mr. Brian Edwards. How you doing, Brian?
Good to see you again, Greg. You never change a bit, buddy. You look exactly the same. Good, good man.
Yeah, except for, you know what happened to Dick Clark, and just like that, it was all over. So, it's going to be my last interview. We don't know.
Well, it's.
I'm glad it's going to be with us. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, you guys.
Yeah, I'd love to have you. We've been wanting to have you on a guest for a little while, and we made it happen. I know you've been busy at work, and you're doing some renovations now too. You were saying, so you've been a busy guy.
Oh my God! Try and find a handy guy these days. Like they say, the economy's stalled out and everything. You can't find a contractor that will come and do a gig for you right now, especially if it's a smaller type job. I think complete home renos for sure, but they don't want to toy with me and my bathroom problems. And I'm telling you, I got a plumber in there last week, and my wife had just painted the bathroom, and we were replacing the tub and the stuff. And I said, when the boys were carrying the tub up the stairs, I said, if you scratch the paint, you own the house. That's what my wife says. It's all mortgage payments going to you. And so then he goes, well, I got good news and bad news. When I came back there a few hours later, he said, we didn't scratch the paint per se, but we had to cut out a chunk of drywall to get the tub in. I'm going, oh my God. And he goes, and to be honest, I don't think I have time to finish this. My bathroom's in shambles, man.
Yeah, I'm going through the same thing. I'm doing some renovations here, and luckily I found a couple guys that were doing work at my neighbors, and they came over to doing some stuff, but trying to get other trades in. Like I need to get a wood stove pipe put in, and just nobody calls you back. They just, and the one lady called me back, said, he can come out December the 15th. And it's like, nice. Wow, that early. I said, I don't really need you till next year. So it's like, wow, 2 months. That's fantastic. But
I know about the ghosting too, because I had a plumber, and he did work at my other house there lots of times, and real nice guy and everything. He did 2 little things for me at this rental house, and then stopped calling me back. Just stopped calling all communication. So I had to go find another plumber. And I paid him. He transferred like within 2 days after him finishing each gig. I paid him right away, and I'm sure that's an anomaly. I'm sure people are invoicing 30 days out, but I paid him to keep on top of it. And now I have to find another guy, which is the guy that left it half undone and said he had to go now. So my aching head. This is why I drink, boys.
I see that in front of you.
Yeah.
Is that really Tim's?
It's my special morning elixir.
So you do the morning show on CFCW, a co-host, and so you start at, is it 6 to 10?
Yeah, we're on the air 6 till 10, and so I get out of bed about 3:15, 3:30ish, and head to the station and open things up here. I like it in a way because I'm the first on the scene, first to see the day, besides some really hardworking city employees that are out there clearing roads and that kind of stuff. But I don't think it's lonely or anything. Like I get to be a first part of this day and see what's going on. The downside, of course, is I'm getting out of bed in the middle of the night, and it wreaks havoc on your system after a while.
Yeah, because you don't really get used to it, do you? I mean, it just becomes
I don't. But. And I know guys who get up way earlier than me and have split shifts and everything. Like I'm pretty blessed with being able to, I just got the one gig. I do side hustles like everybody else as much as I can to keep money rolling in. But this, my primary gig, it's not a split shift with the exception of doing a remote now and then or whatever,
Yeah, exactly. So radio business nowadays, how much has it changed since, say, the 90s and that? It's got to be a way different thing than it used to be back in the... Would you say the 90s were really the the strong point of regular radio before satellite and all that stuff came in.
It's interesting because in the 90s, I was in non-traditional radio. In 1993, I answered an ad in the Record and magazine there, and it said, wanted quick-footed personality with love of country music, and it was just a blind box ad. And I had just came back from, I was in Medicine Hat, then I took a gig in Calgary at the Fox, and they flipped the Fox to Beautiful Music overnight after I was there for about 9 months. And so I phoned my old boss, Jay Hitchin in Medicine Hat, begged him to take me back. So he brought me back for APD and music director. And I started doing a gag that I saw in R&R magazine. Some disc jockey in South Dakota or something did this thing, and he had a superhero suit made, and he was Donut Man. So I threw this on the air, and this old lady made me a Donut Man costumes, like red satin silk shorts. Everything else was yellow cape, and then it had an emblem that said RDM, Robin's Donuts Man. And my gig was I'd ask them to fax at that time. They'd fax in, and can Robin's Donuts Man make your day? And I would have to, at Monarch Broadcasting back in the day at CHAT, they had a dress code. So I'd go into the radio station about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'd do my busy work, my music stuff, my show prep. And then I'd have to take off my shirt, my tie, my dress pants, drop trowel in the station, usually in the music room in a corner, and then put on this getup. And then I'd take the station van to Robin's Donuts in costume, go in there, grab the donuts, and take them to the business. I'm Donut Man, here to make your day, kind of thing. And so my very first mission was at the CIBC Bank, and I didn't put two and two together, but I came in with a mask on and yelling something weird. And the manager of the bank almost hit the button. And he directly called my GM at the time right after I left, and I got hauled into the office. And I said, "What's going on, man? What are you trying to do?" And that was the debut of Donut Man. But anyway, I took a picture of myself with the cape billowing in the wind next to Robin's Donuts, and I sent this in along with an air check for my afternoon show in Medicine Hat to this blind box ad. And I had only been back in the hat for maybe 3.5 months. And I get this response, like the phone rings a couple of weeks later, and the guys, yeah, we saw your audition tape or heard your audition tape, and we figure anybody who dresses up in his getup must be somebody we want to talk to. So I'm on a plane to Toronto, and I'd never been on a plane, and I'd never been to Toronto. So big day for me. And I went and I did this audition downtown in Toronto on the Esplanade in this studio where Shirley Solomon used to do her talk show. Mm-hmm. And basically there was a television director, and the whole bleacher seating area was blacked out, so you couldn't really see, but I could see silhouettes of a few human beings in there. And he made me wear an IFB earpiece, and he just, I was getting instructions from a control room and from this director, Rick Price, who was standing right in front of me. And he said, "Okay, I want you to read this passage from Shakespeare." And I said, "Okay." And so I just, I was just like, "To be or not to be?" And I went over the top on everything. And then in the middle of it, he goes, "Okay, go back 3 pages, read the second line down, do this, do that." And then he throws a roll of duct tape at me. So I catch the duct tape out of the corner of my eye. I put it through my legs and I throw it back to him, and then I keep reading. And then I had to do a mock interview with Dolly Parton. And this was on a phone call from Calgary. So I'm on a stool in the middle of this stage with hot lights, and I got a phone next to me, and I'm just doing this fake phone interview. And after the audition, I don't know, it took about 25, 30 minutes. And the guy said, "Do you need anything? Do you want anything? That's it. We're done with you. And do you have to go to the bathroom?" And I said, "No, I already went." So I went back to the Novotel. The Novotel hotel was right across the street, and I lied there, and I went to sleep that night and caught my plane the next morning. I just had no idea what just happened. And I get back to Medicine Hat, and it was a torturous 2-week wait before they called. And all of a sudden, they sent this package via courier, and it was called Craven Aid Today's Country. And this promo pack was so impressive. And it was said, Garth Brooks, this, that, country music, new country's the wave, and we're going to be across Canada and everything. So I'm going, wow, this must be a mistake. They want me as the host. So anyway, I got to give my notice to my poor boss, Jay, after he rehires me. And I've been there for 3.5 months. So I left him in the lurch, gave my 2 weeks and was out of there. And I go to this show in Toronto and I get there and there really is no show. We went to a pub, an Irish pub, or no, it was a Sherlock Holmes or something, right across the street from my hotel on the Esplanade. Yeah. And we planned out this radio show. It was a nationally syndicated show on a napkin, format-wise, what's going to happen first, how many songs we plan. And it turned into this 5.5-year journey, sponsored by Craven A Cigarettes. So it was a $2 million a year budget. We had advertising billboards across Canada. We ended up with 86 affiliate stations at the end. And it was just, I got to go to Nashville every year to do other interviews. We won 4 New York Festival Awards, got to go to New York City and cruise the Hudson Harbor and get awards while we were drunk on scotch. It was...
That's perfect.
Not a point.
As we are now.
Nothing's changed except for the beautiful views.
There we go. Well, that's pretty awesome. So let's go back even further. Where were you born?
I grew up on a farm. Born in Saskatoon at the city hospital, and our farm was 1.25 miles west of the Concordia Club on Lorne Avenue. So basically it was the Saskatoon Golf and Country Club, the exhibition grounds, and then our land was right there along the Beaver Creek Highway. So I always call myself a hybrid redneck because I was 5 minutes to 8th Street, but I had 2.25 sections of farm to grow up on, and all the boys would meet me when we were teenagers and had our licenses. We would meet up at my farm, and the guys would distract mom, talk her ear off while we would transfer the cases of beer for the party into my trunk of my car and then off to the party. So it was quite the upbringing, man. It's sometimes I have 4 children and I really wish I would have been able to give them some type of farm acreage, upbringing like I had, because it was pretty awesome.
I bet that land would be nice to have that land now.
Yeah. Big Al did okay for his retirement, that's for sure. He passed away in 2014, but he was able, and mom just passed away this year, so he was able to tithe away enough money to keep mom in a first-class dementia facility. And there was a lot of good things about that farm, and it was in the farm for generations. And I think I went to ag college before I got into radio. I went to Lakeland College, and I was supposed to be the heir to the dynasty, and I'm not a very good farmer, man. I'm a mediocre radio guy and a really poor farmer.
So did you had that pressure when you were young that you thought you had to take over the farm and be that guy, or did you have in the back of your mind, okay, I really, really want to do this? Was there something else you really wanted to do?
I think we all of us feel the pressure of what our families do, and if it's a family business. And I think I put more pressure on myself than Dad ever did. It was all perceived pressure when you look back. But I love certain things about the farm, but there's a lot of things that you can't control, and I saw it frustrated my dad, and it wasn't for me. I couldn't fix anything. I'm not a mechanic or a carpenter or anything, and you have to be the whole package to run a farm of any type. And I just didn't have it, and I knew I didn't have it. And I also knew I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew what I liked, and I loved television. I loved vaudeville, right from the vaudeville days to Laugh-In to you name it, Donnie and Marie, Dean Martin. Those were the things I gravitated towards, and I was really into television and movies and acting. As a nerd kid, when I was like pre-teens, I still got them. I got scrapbooks where I cut out the movies posters from the Saskatoon Star Phoenix and glue them into a book. And when I go to the movies, I'd rip all the ads out of the glossy magazine there and put them into another more specialer book. And so it was really television that I kind of thought that I would go into. And after ag college, I got home and I graduated, and now the pressure was kind of on because I had spent this money and gone to college and actually graduated, which was touch and go. Yeah. But then my buddy from high school, Brian Tamke, used to come to my driveway, and we sit in the driveway and crack a beer and listen to his air check tapes from his broadcasting college that he was going to, called Western Academy Broadcast College, which is pretty prevalent. A lot of major broadcasters in Canada have gone through Don Scott's program there, and it was great. And I said, I think I can do that. And so I signed up for the next semester of WABC, and I fell into it. I got a 3.5-month practicum in St. Paul, Alberta, worked for free, and then I begged them to hire me. And JB Cartwright, I had zero talent, nothing whatsoever, couldn't even form a sentence on the radio. And JB he saw some work ethic in me and saw something in me, so he hired me for $900 a month, and the legend begins. That was 1989.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. That's a long journey. That's it's neat how you can just grow up on a farm in Saskatchewan, and all of a sudden your life just kind of veers off this way, and but your life experiences probably had a lot to do with knowing, especially now with country music and having that history. Was country music a big part of your household growing up?
Yeah, CJWW was the hometown station, and it was always on in the background. But we also had a station called CFQC, and Wall and Den were the morning team there, and they were awesome. They had the fun jingles, and they were just real cut-ups. And then, of course, Don Scott was also on the air when I was a kid at CKOM before he did his broadcast school. And Don would say things like, I just got in from Vegas. I was partying with Wayne Newton all weekend. And I'm going, parties with Wayne Newton. This is amazing. And it was all BS.
Yeah.
But, the delivery was just perfect. And I'm going, he just lies for a living. I love this guy. And that's what I kind of fell in love with, is the creative storytelling. And I'll be honest with you, this is 30 whatever years doing this, and I still have this far to go to be able to tell a story better. It's just, I'm not good at it. It's never been my forte. I can tell little bits and pieces, but to articulate a really weaving story properly like a stand-up comedian would, I haven't cracked that yet. And so that's, I guess, what keeps me waking up every day to see if I can do it tomorrow,
Yeah, it's something that you have to keep doing all the time. It's like the comedians, they say they have to just keep, going into little clubs and doing their routines over and over and over and perfecting it.
Well, the difference is, too, we all know lots of stand-ups who are hardworking guys who really got hit by this pandemic, and, thinking about them all the time. And they write one routine, and then they stand in front of that mirror and rehearse that with every nuance and every, circle back thread and bit, and they can make it absolutely perfect. With live radio, we don't do that. I could write a whole show the day before, but they pay me okay, but I don't think they pay me that much. So really, the thing is, lots of bits they hit, lots of bits we miss, and then we just go. I think the advantage of experience and having so many years behind the mic is I don't beat myself up as much anymore. I just go, you know what? I got another shot to open the mic in 3 minutes, so I better get my crap together for the next break.
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I taped every single word that came out of my mouth on cassette, every single show, and I'd listen to every show break by break by break, and it was painful. And I did that on my drive home in my little cassette player in the car and whatever, and I thought, I should just quit. I'm like horrible at this. And then I'd listen to the air checks that I'd send away from or send away for or get from buddies of Scott Shannon at Z100 New York, or Rick Dees, or any of the legends, the Grease Man and everything. And I go, well, I'll keep trying, I guess, because these guys are awesome,
Well, that's what makes you good, right? I mean, that time where you take that effort to listen to, it's no different than a musician or a stand-up comedian where they've done a set and you listen to it on the way back. You got to really make sure you go over everything. So, oh gosh, I can do better than that. I can do better.
Right.
And I always think what makes someone good is that they're never happy with just what they just did. There's always room to make it better.
If that's the case, then I am the greatest.
Yeah.
I am never happy. And you can ask any of my co-hosts, current or previous. But I think just lately with the pandemic and all that kind of stuff and things that have happened in my family, and it kind of shifts your perspective when you're a bit older and you have a few miles on you, and you realize, you know what, it's a privilege to sit here and have people's ear and time in the morning, and don't get so wound up over it. Just do the best you can. What I think has made me get this far is just an affable personality, and I learned to listen, and that's basically, I don't think you have to have extraordinary talent, but you have to have something. You have to have some intangible that people want to listen to. I don't have a great deep radio voice or anything, but people enjoy how they feel when we're on the air talking to them. It's not how much about what we say, it's how we say it, I think.
Do you find things a lot more regimented today than they used to be when you're doing the small town gig where you could do whatever you want, when you wanted, you play what you wanted, when you want? Do you like this new system where everything kind of drops in front of you and you just push a button and go? Or did you like the old days of queuing up the record and doing whatever, or queuing up the CD, I suppose it would have been?
Well, actually, when I started, there was records and carts. And, it was an adventure to try and figure that all out. But it was fun and it was fast paced, and now it's fast paced just in a different way. And my whole career has been built on the Box Pro or the Burley software that records the phone calls, because like I said, I can't articulate a thought very well, but I'm a pretty good editor, and I can shape the bit with the edit to make it entertaining, and I can choose when I'm going to pop it in, and I can craft a whole experience. And I have all kinds of drops I've collected with, so a Monday can feel like a Monday and a Tuesday feels like a Tuesday. And that's what we do, is try and fit the show to the mood of the day and if there's sadness in the air, then we take a turn and we go a little gentler. But we find, I've always gone, what is my purpose? What kind of show? I'm not as good at doing this as this guy or that guy. I think they come to us to have a quick laugh and hear a good record and just smile a little bit. And during this pandemic, with a station like CFCW, which is 66 years old, it's Alberta's country legend, and our TSL is monstrous. Our time spent listening is through the roof. So people are with us all day long. And that's a tremendous responsibility that none of us take lightly here. And we just, if we don't do so well in the morning show, they know that Jackie will pick up the slack in the midday, or AJ is going to kill it in the afternoon. They're patient with us, and if they don't like something we said, they know the next time we crack the mic, we're probably going to crack them up or give them some information that they can use for the day for sure.
What's it like nowadays with, everyone's a little sensitive about everything. You have to watch what you say and how you say it and who you say it to. Is that on your mind a lot when you're on the air nowadays? Or do you just kind of let it go like normal?
Every professional in the broadcast and entertainment industry is cognizant of all that. It's like a minefield, and, you got local political figures, you have national political figures, you have, races, creeds, different sensibilities, and you have to be cognizant of all of that. And we are all the time. And it's more important what we're not saying as it is what we are saying. We're just trying not to offend anybody, not to be crass, and not to ruin. I know if somebody says something untoward to me, whether it's a minor comment or not, it makes me feel bad all day. I don't want people to feel bad. I've done that enough in my youth when I was so focused on being this radio guy that I would say whatever and be flippant and whatever. And I'm sure I offended countless people because of that. And now we're very sensitive of that. We're actually experts in that field, to be honest with you, because if we weren't, we wouldn't be having this interview. I would have been fired, and wouldn't be able to make my living. Can you just pause for?
Yep.
I'm going to put the news on. Hang on. What time is it?
It's
oh yeah, we're good. We got 12 minutes.
Okay.
Which is like a lifetime in radio.
So starting out in the early days, you must have a couple neat stories of things that went south on the air? Or, there's always got to be some great stories there. Do you have anything that kind of pops out from the early days?
Oh, man. Yeah. Oh, geez. That's a tough one. Put me on the spot. Lots of things come to mind, but I'm not sure how many I want to share.
Pick the worst one and just tell that one.
Yeah. Let me think. Let's circle back to that question. Let's go to something else.
All right. Next question. Is there anything now that you regret what you've done the last 6 months?
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I think COVID is getting to all of us. And I'm a high-strung individual. Like, I'm a list guy. I got to have stuff. I'm a bit OCD, much less than I used to be. But I was just at the gas station on Friday before we headed to Calgary. And we got a couple of snack stuff because we were going to be in the hotel room to watch this socially distanced concert. Yeah. My wife and I. So we go to the Safeway, get our stuff. And I always love going to Safeway because I get the gas coupon and I'm cheap. And I get the 4 cents off a liter or 15 cents, whatever. And for the last couple of times, for whatever reason, this little code that I got to punch in, which is really tiny and I can't see anything these days. But I go there and I meticulously punch in the code to save my 4 cents after I got the gas ready to go. And nope, denied. Rejected, denied. So I go into the little hut and I have to stand outside with forgot the mask. Go back to the truck, get the mask. Put the mask on, stand outside the little booth because there's one customer at a time inside. It's freezing. The wind chill is tearing through me and we're already late to get out of town, so I'm irritated. So I finally get in there and I go, here's what's going on. Every last few times I use this, I can't get the code to work. And he says, what does it say? Does it say this? Does it say that? I said, I don't know. It just doesn't work. It's invalid or whatever. He's going, wow, I don't know. And I said, can't you just punch it in? Here's the code thing. Punch it in from this side. And he goes, no, I can't do it. And I said, well, Jesus. And so I start muttering swears under my breath. And I go, time to leave. So I jet out of there. And also I'm annoyed at the Safeway gas because it doesn't have the clicker sticker. Yeah. Like that, you click it and I can go inside and warm up while, who doesn't have that? What kind of inhumane gas station doesn't have that? So I jump into the truck swearing. My wife's on the phone on my dash phone with her mother. And I'm like, let him fly with the F-bombs. This place is stupid. And then I tear out of there with my sponsored radio station truck, piloted by Greg Shannon, it says on the side. And I tear out of there and she goes, if you're going to be like this, we're not going, and everything. And so, yeah, there's still flare-ups. And a lot of it, I think, is the COVID crap. My son and I were talking about it. I used to have claustrophobia really bad. Yeah. And now it's like the whole planet has claustrophobia. Everybody, it's like the world's closing in. We can't get out. There's so many restrictions on us as human beings. It just subconsciously or consciously, it's hard to take some days.
We don't function well as human beings being locked up too long. Doesn't work.
No, we're social animals, right? And some people are introverts and they like their alone time. And so do I, lots of the time, mostly for my own family. But
not 9 months of it.
Yeah, exactly. You guys know what it's like. It's just getting old. It's getting old, and especially for live performers. And I mean, that's your entire livelihoods and business too. It's just really put a crimp into people's plans and days and emotions, and lots more suicide attempts and suicides and domestic violence.
You in the radio industry are our entertainment now, more so than ever. I know people rely on tuning in there every day to get that humor, to get the familiarity of who they know. And I can see numbers in radio going up more and more and more all the time. The people are gravitating more than they ever did because that's their entertainment and they love it. And you've expanded on that well and kept everybody very well entertained, obviously. And I'm sure you find that with the listeners' calls and everything, you can sense how much they're getting out of having you there.
Yeah, I think that's very true. And we're, like I said, we don't take it lightly. And the fact is we can't really have a bad day on the air. we got serious a couple of different times, and it just leads to no good. Like when we talk about the serious issues, so we just leave it alone and we just go with the comedy and the light comedy, and that's what people want. That's what they need. So that's what we're giving.
Yeah, no matter where you go now, if you turn on any news, anything, and it's always just, you just feel horrible after you've watched a newscast. Wow. There's not like one nice or one great story. Speaking of the news.
Yeah, hang on 1 second.
Fire the news.
Let me see here. I got half a paradise found, and I'd be better off in a pine box, and then we're good. Then I got to go. So, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people on the edge out there. That's what I've noticed, and we need to be that bright spot in their day, and that lots of positive news, lots of infotainment that is something they can use. We dubbed the entire month of October as Operation Happiness month. So we're focusing on a different charity every single week, and we're giving away free money every morning, $100, and then we also give another 100 to the charity of your choice. So that's been going great, and it feels good, and having lots of fun with that. And of course, our special projects division is pretty busy. We're handling a lot of missions. The latest is Millet. The town of Millet lost their 60-foot Christmas tree in a bad storm last year, and it's part of their whole CP holiday train food bank drive every year, brings the whole community together. So we put that on the air, and we got a lady named Gail who has a 60-foot tree, which fairly rare, we thought, but she has one that she can donate, that she has to move from her acreage, and we're trying to connect people and causes, and it's fun.
That's great.
That's neat.
Very good.
So over the years, obviously interviewed a lot of people. Is there certain interviews back in the day that you were, say, the most nervous about? Says, oh my gosh, I gotta interview this person. And what were the a couple of those that really stand out for you?
When I first got to Toronto, my first interview was with Restless Heart, and they were at one of the country clubs for a gig, and I did an on camera, and I'd never really done anything on camera, and it was on camera at the club, and they used the footage for other stuff in the news and everything, and I was the guy, I was the interviewer, and I was like losing it. I didn't know what to ask or how to ask, and I was shaking and everything, but the guys really treated me well and let me, just stumble through it and get through it. And afterwards he said, you know what, man, your style reminds me of Kurt Loder from MTV. And I'm going, cool. I've seen Kurt Loder. I didn't know anything. So I looked him up, and we really just got the internet just at the start of Today's Country at 93-ish.
Yeah.
And so I look up this Kurt Loder guy, and he was like, no offense, Kurt, but not a good looking gentleman. And I'm going, I don't know how to feel about this comment now. But I was really, we had some pretty spectacular guests on the show. Faith Hill, 1994, Faith Hill was our first big get, and she had just hit #1 with Wild One.
Yeah.
And we had her on the show, and so that was pretty cool. And then the gates started opening up because she used our Hot House band with Pepe Francis and Ray Parker and all the guys, all the legends, which was a huge part of our show. And the confidence was there, and she knew that we had the A game going on in Toronto. So her and Borman and Associates, her whole team and everything, I think they spread the word around Nashville, and things got a lot easier after that. And my co-host Sharon Edwards, she was talent booker for all the big acts. I did all the indies, and she booked all the major acts and stuff. And she finally started having success because she was grinding it out, and we couldn't get anybody interested. And we got Craven A as these multi-million-dollar sponsors going, when are you going to give us somebody with marquee value here, people? And so it finally happened in 94, and the floodgates opened. We had Garth Brooks on.
Yeah.
We had Shania Twain. We flew in the entire Alabama band in, had them on the show. And yeah, it was crazy. It was, and I had no idea how cool it was. I really wish I could go back knowing what I know now to do that show all over again.
Yeah.
And I would just, love to have a second crack at that. And Mary Chapin Carpenter made me nervous because all the stuff I read on her, she said, the one thing is her name is Mary Chapin, don't call her Mary. So we go to this studio offsite. It wasn't a live interview as part of the show. It was a pre-recorded thing that we did at a studio when she came for a showcase gig. And I go, hi, Mary, nice to meet you. And I go right in my mind, they go, okay, now I've done it. Now I've done the ultimate faux pas. I might as well just roll with it. And she's Princeton educated, so that's good. And I have an ag diploma from Lakeland. So I'm going, this is going to be a hard-fought battle for her to have a conversation with me. Anyway, we ended up winning a New York Festival International Radio Award for that interview. Oh. And as soon as I said, I said, when you write these incredible songs, and I said, how do you have this much cranial space to be able to have all these? And she just thought cranial space was the funniest thing she ever heard. And after she started laughing, I'm going, okay, good to go. Let's go get a New York Festival Award. And that's what happened.
Yeah.
That's good.
10 seconds. Be right there.
Yep.
All right. Good to go.
Pierogies in the world.
Yeah, there we go.
Love hearing Vegreville.
Best pierogies in the world.
Vegreville, we just interviewed a couple of guys, Jagger and Dawson Glowatsky, and they own a company called Young Farts RV Parts. And it's only one of two companies that sell used RV parts in Canada, and they're killing it. And they literally kill it every Halloween. They do the haunted hike in their warehouse. They got over a dozen actors. And when people come out of there, these kids come out of there, they're on their knees, hyperventilating. Somebody peed. They had to clean up pee last weekend. Vegreville is more than just options, a big egg.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Brian, you had a question there, Brian.
Tell us about working at an AM radio station in a metropolitan city like Edmonton and having the loyal audience like you do. That's got to be, that's just not heard of. I mean, unless it's a news.
I got out in 2014. I was sick of radio. It was like Groundhog's Day for me, getting out of bed in the middle of the night. I was fighting with my co-host at the time, Tara Lee. We were just like, we won a whole bunch of CCMA awards for personalities of the year. And we're going, what else is there to do? What else is there to accomplish? And we had limited involvement from management as far as mentoring or which way to go next and everything. And so I jumped into a career in fund development at Red Deer College, and terrifying, but I tore the Band-Aid off. I quit radio when my dad died in June of 2014 and took this gig at Red Deer College, which wasn't easy to get. And it was a major gifts officers was my title. And I learned this whole new career, and I'm so grateful that I got the opportunity. I love the career, and it's relationship building long-term and raising money to move the college forward and give the students a better experience. So then, lo and behold, Jackie Ray and I reconnect after a bunch of years, and she was looking for a new morning person for this legendary radio station. And so she fired me, actually, from Big Earl, the Edmonton station that was right next door. So they blew the format up, flipped formats, and they fired a bunch of us. And so, that played into my decision. I hummed and hawed for a while, and I said, do I really want to work for this woman? She's extraordinary. If anybody knows Jackie Ray, she is a legend. She's in the CCMA Hall of Fame, and she's definitely a legend here in Edmonton. It's done so much for so many, and also an incredible mentor because she takes you in the office and air checks you and helps you improve as an entertainer and everything. So Jackie and I always loved each other, and her hand got forced, and it wasn't actually her that pulled the pin. It was the general manager at the time. But that set me off on a new journey. But anyway, Jackie, my wife and I made the decision. We're coming back. Let's do this. And then I go, well, I'm 50-some years old, and I'm going back to radio to an AM station, no less. And I'm going, what am I doing? This is ridiculous. And I got here, and I was so nervous to do it. I thought, it's like riding a bike, but for me it wasn't. My timing was off. I didn't have any confidence. In fact, for about a 9-month period, I got stage fright, and I was terrified every time I cracked the mic after, 28 years, 30 years of doing this. So it's terrifying. but the listeners were so patient and everything. And it's like you're welcomed into a family. This is a family, and they hang on every word. If you make a mistake, they're on the phone or on the text line correcting you instantaneously. And I never let facts get in the way of a good story, so they're on me a lot. And it's a unique unicorn of radio stations. I think you could only compare it to a WSM in Nashville or one of Chicago's original stations, because it's been playing country music. It's the longest running country music station in the nation. And our listeners, we have some city listeners, we have a ton of rural listeners, and they all have multiple radios. You want to hear a story? A couple of weeks ago, Jackie gets a communique from a listener, and they're putting her mom to rest. And her mom won a car from CFCW on the calendar contest years ago. Huge fan before that, super huge after that. Every radio in the house tuned to CFCW. She had one particular radio she loved that was always with her, a small little transistor. They buried the radio with her, with it turned on to CFCW. So Stella and I, if you go to this graveyard, you might hear something coming out of the ground and we're live at the graveyard, because that's how much this radio station meant to this woman and her family. Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
so
awesome.
It's a general store variety show of a radio station. Like and the weekend guy, Nick Golka, is just as important as the morning people or the afternoon guy or whatever. They love how we all interact together and we all make fun of each other. And it's like, we used to have to work on doing those cross promotions. Oh, let's talk about the midday person. It was all this forced program stuff. No, it's not like that here. We just work each other over the coals whenever we get the opportunity. Jackie probably takes the brunt of it because she deserves it. But
I've never seen anything like it anywhere in North America or anywhere.
Yep.
Never seen the family approach and the longevity and just as you say. I mean, it's like you are the family. It's exactly what it is.
And Mama Bear protects the brand fiercely. If it doesn't fit what we do, it's not going on the air. It doesn't matter how much money you're paying as far as sponsorship. And that being said, we can take anybody's business and make hay with it. We can have fun. And if you want to partner with CFCW, you're going to get your money's worth, because once you're a paying customer, we can ad lib ad nauseum, and we can welcome you to the family too. And some of our advertisers have been with us for 40 years. It's crazy.
Yeah. How much of a change was it when satellite radio came into the picture several years ago? Did you see a big change in the market, and how did it affect where you were at the time?
Well, it's always sexy when something new comes out and you go, oh, they're going to own everything. It's going to be amazing. And I applied to XM to get my own show on there. I never even got a reply back. And I'm sure I'm one of hundreds, maybe not, but I hope so. That's how I cry myself to sleep at night. But yeah, satellite, it's sexy. They got the money, they got the studios, they got, they're located in the major centers, so they get the big guests through and everything. And you go, oh, they're going to kill us. This is it. This is over. No. If you, hyper local is the phrase that always gets pushed around on radio and everything. If you're just common sense and you actually care about where you live and you care about the people that are listening to you, business takes care of itself, right? And could we use more sponsors? Sure. We're in a pandemic, and Stingray, the parent company, did an amazing thing. They did a stimulus program across the nation, and they offered existing businesses and new businesses free advertising for a select amount of time to help them through the pandemic or to launch their business or whatever. And I'm telling you, the goodwill that was created through that endeavor, there's no price tag you can put on it. And it made our station sound great too, because all of a sudden we got these all new businesses talking about their businesses on the air as part of our programming. And I think if you're a smart radio company, you'll figure your way through all of this. And satellite's always been a thorn in my side, to be honest, because I launched my own show called the world famous Big Top 20 Countdown. And because of when I had to produce it, and I really had no staff or anything, I had to make it an album countdown instead of a singles countdown because I would never be able to wait for the chart every week to produce it, because back then you had to send out a syndicated show on a satellite network. So half the affiliates took the thing on CDs that I burned and we mailed out through my partner's office here in Edmonton. And that was when I was in Calgary doing the CMT Request Line show for a couple of years. And then I moved to Kamloops. The show didn't get renewed on CMT, so we're moving again. So I had to move to BC to Kelowna and then to Kamloops. And I did the show from there, and I had it produced at Sing Spot Digital Audio Post in Calgary. And then they had to burn it to CD, send it out to all the affiliates, or some only would take it on satellite back in the day. And then we finally, after about year 4.5, going into the 5th and final year, we got them warmed up to the HTTP downloads and stuff. So we had the show going out in 3 different forms. It was a nightmare, nightmare. So fun to do, loved it, got paid nothing for years, and finally kind of had a falling out with my Edmonton-based partner. We parted ways, and Therese and I took on the debt that was outstanding, and I negotiated a deal. I was in Kamloops doing the morning show at B100 at the time, and I kept reading the Globe and Mail, and I saw, the Strauss Herb supplement company based out of Kamloops, old school company, was under fire from these major pharmaceutical companies for their packaging wasn't right, and the government was in their business and everything. And I'm going, these guys need some positive PR. And I have a 2-hour weekly infomercial, so I'll go and meet with the guys. So I asked for a meeting with the oldest son. It was the grandpa, the son, and the other son or whatever that owned it. And we sat down in a restaurant, and I cut a $60,000 sponsorship deal for a year with the Strauss Herb Company. And so I was able to pay off lots of what we owed the creditors and actually pay myself for producing this show after doing it for 4.5 years for nothing.
Wow.
And it was victorious, but then Strauss Herb found curling, and they went to television and sponsored the Roar of the Rings and all that jazz. But I had them for a year, $60,000, boys. It can be done.
So we haven't really chatted much about your move to CMT when you did the show there. What was that experience like working with CMT?
Well, I was at Craven A Today's Country in Toronto, and I had seen that NCN was what it started, the New Country Network on television. It was owned by Ralco Communications, who owned our flagship affiliate for Today's Country, Kiss FM in Toronto. And I saw that Shaw was buying CMT. It was owned by Shaw at the time and changed the chorus after that or whatever. Shaw's split off. But I thought, okay, my spider sense was tingling, and I thought, okay, something's going on with Today's Country. I can feel it. I read the Globe and Mail, and I sound like this, very educated individual who reads the Globe and Mail all the time. I just love newspapers because I grew up next to Dad reading the Saskatoon Star Phoenix. He'd have the business section, I'd have the entertainment section and everything. I always loved newspaper. And so I'm reading in the Globe and Mail, and I see that tobacco's under fire and specifically advertising, yada, yada, yada. And that's why Today's Country was such a unique vehicle, is because it had to be a live event to be sponsored by a cigarette company. So we had a 250-seat studio audience, and you had to win your way in through Kiss FM in Toronto to get in on the show. Had to be a live event. And so I see, oh boy, here we go. So I start, Casey Clark had just got made the music director of CMT in Calgary. So I phone up Casey cold. I'd never met him before. And I said, Case, my name's Greg, blah, 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 do the show. He goes, oh yeah, man, I heard the show. And I said, I've never done TV before, but I think in my gut, I think I could do it. And I want to be a part of this if there's anything for me. And he goes, oh, well, that's cool, man. We're going to be doing auditions for different things coming up, and I'll let you know. I'll give you the heads up so you're first in and everything. I'm going, okay, good. And then flash ahead about a couple of months, and I'm sick as a dog. Like, I can barely function. And I got to fly to Nashville with a film crew to record Terry Clark in her kitchen at her house for these CCMA profiles that aired on the award show every year. Because that was part of the Craven A deal too, is they leveraged our way onto the CCMA awards. So I got to be a big deal presenter guy with Sharon, and we'd go on the show and look down and Russell DeCarl and Michelle Wright and all of our Charlie Major, all our luminaries are sitting right there in the front row, and I'm going, oh my God, that was daunting.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we go to Terry Clark, and then I right before we leave, I call Casey and I go, I haven't heard anything about that. He's going, oh man, I am so sorry I didn't let you know. This thing, hang on one second. I might be running out of power here, boys. And you know what? I don't have an extension cord that long.
That's all right. Same problem myself.
They're changing the light. Yeah, exactly. I had a blowout in the crotch of my jeans today, and I went on a list and said, well, there's this place that sells jeans or repairs jeans, so you can get it done there where I get mine done. And I looked on the price list, and a crotch blowout is between $35 and $60. And I said, well, I'd definitely be on the low end, so that's the good news. Get her fixed up. Okay. So the lighting is not that good. Lighting's not that good now, so I'll use this for add to this. Okay. Yeah, so perfect. Anyway, I call up Casey before we go to Nashville, and he goes, yeah, no, the auditions. He goes, yeah, I'm sorry, brother. I forgot to tell you or whatever. I go, what do you mean forgot to tell me? And he goes, yeah, they've auditioned for everything. I don't know if there's anything left. And so I go, okay, well, I'm going to send you a tape anyway. So I fly to Nashville, and I con the film crew into doing a stand-up with me in front of the Country Music Hall of Fame. So we go do the Terry Clark thing. It's 4,000 degrees. I'm sick. I'm sweating. And I'm sweating more than Woody Bowles, and you know that's a lot of sweat. And so I get this thing done, and we race. I got just enough time to get to do the 2-minute stand-up, and they film me. I go, I'm Greg Shannon from the Country Music Hall of Fame, and this is where all the legends are and everything, and on CMT. And I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just trying to fake something. And back in the day, it was all beta. Yeah. So this was on a beta tape. And my buddy Terry Bumgarner was a reporter for TNN Country News back then, and he said, well, there's a dubbing facility, on this block. So I do the run down the street in the 30-plus degree weather, take this tape in, put it in a FedEx, or they dub it over to a VHS, they put it in a FedEx envelope, I scribble the CMT address, send it out, and we race to the airport to get back to Toronto. Next morning, I call CMT, and I talked to Ted Kennedy, who was the boss there at the time, and he said, yeah, I got the tape. He goes, I got a few concerns. I go, I know you got a few concerns. It's freaking horrible. It's terrible. I said, but if I can get in front of you, I know I can be he goes, well, we're all done auditions, and we don't have a budget flying anybody in or whatever. And I go, I'll buy my own ticket. I'll be there tomorrow morning. And he goes, no, don't do that. And I said, nope, I'm going to do it. I'll see you tomorrow. So I spent like $1,000 on a plane ticket to get it was like last second thing. And I go there, and he put me through the paces for the CMT Beat, which was a news top and the bottom of the hour. They did a country music news at that time. Yeah. And he said, Ted, he was a classic. I love Ted. And he'd rub his face and go, maybe could you stay overnight? Because I got something else in mind for you, stuff. And I said, yeah, sure. I'll stay overnight, whatever. So I stay at my buddy Brian's place, who got me sucked into the whole entertainment business anyway. And next day I come back and I audition for this Request Line show, and I end up getting this gig. I'm going, this is great. So now we got something to plan ahead for my family. And then I see what they're going to pay. Like less than half of what I was making in Toronto. Less than half. So and we had to move ourselves too. No moving. So, and we already had 2 children, 2 girls at this point. So we moved to Calgary, and it's a long, long story. But anyway, the glamour and sexiness of TV, we made it look awesome, but it wasn't always that awesome. And because CMT being purchased by Shaw was such an afterthought, we were in Shaw Court in downtown Calgary, which was a show place. And they had the cable networks based out of there they called it the fishbowl. So it was a fully floor-to-ceiling, glass-enclosed control room, master control, just very impressive. Huge high ceiling lobby with all the offices and the elevators visible. And then right to the right was this little reception desk, CMT. So that was us. And we had all these offices. And Julie Shaw loved to make everything really aesthetically pleasing, but non-functional. So there was like, everything was curves. There, you know, nobody had a desk against a wall. It was a curve situation.
Yeah.
And right across from where the reception desk was this little alcove. And there was a curtain there. And every day we would pull the curtain and put a sign on the easel with my face going, "Shh, quiet, please, we're taping." And that our studio was basically the lobby of Shaw Court with a curtain. Like, that was it. And our slogan was bringing the country together one video at a time. And we took calls. So basically we taped a day ahead. On Monday, we'd be taping for Tuesday's show. So it was all pre-done. And we would flash the number, the 1-800 number. And Janine, our part-time call screener, would be in the booth. And she'd say, "It's Debbie from Newfoundland's on the phone. She wants to hear Garth," or whatever. And we'd ask Janine, "Can you get a little information so we can do a bit?" And it was Ned Demich was the cameraman. And Ned lied on his resume to get the job on a national network. He said he was a proficient cameraman, made up all these places. The only time he'd ever done camera was at his high school TV station in Wetaskiwin, Alberta. And like about 20 years before that. And my producer, Jason Belleville, is one of the hit writers in Hollywood right now. He's like the Cobra Kai on Netflix and Brockmire and you name it. The guy's the Unicorn on CBS right now. He's either the showrunner or one of the head writers. He's just an extraordinary talent. But he was pretty iffy as a producer. So we really had a skeleton ragtag crew. And Jason, he was funny as heck, and he's a stand-up comedian. His brother Ryan Belleville has been a stand-up of the year in Canada, and he's on CBC's show Moms, Working Moms, right now, Ryan. And anyway, so we would brainstorm bits, just little comedy sketches that we would do when people called in for their request. And it was awesome. It was fun, but we got paid $0.00. It was not very lucrative.
Yeah, so
2 years. 2 years. And then, so my wife and after 2 years, I go, "Oh, honey, we have to move to BC now." Because there's no jobs for Greggy. Greggy's a unique talent and I'd never done a morning show at that point. So I got my first morning show in Kelowna, second in Kamloops, and then I got the Big Earl experience, then fired, then Red Deer for 7 years, and then Red Deer College, and then here for the last 3 years.
Wow.
So
you've been around.
Yeah. Do you ever,
I get around.
Do you ever feel settled in a place? Do you, or do you always feel, you can put that down if you want.
Was that any so good color though?
Yeah, no, hopefully I'm not revealing too many secrets here and stuff, but CMT, like, yeah, I mean, if I could have another crack at that request line show, I'd love to reinvent that under a different name, obviously, because it's probably copyright or whatever, but it just was so great to connect with these people. I was like Elvis in the East Coast, like Moncton and St. John's, Newfoundland, and St. John, New Brunswick, and everything. People loved that show. They really connected with that show, and they got a kick out of it. And for some reason, they had priority sequence with the calls. Like, we'd get like a lot of East Coast calls all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just had something. It just felt good, that show. And one time I said to Ted Kennedy, I said, what if we went to Los Angeles with the request line and did a on-location show for the Academy of Country Music Awards? And he types me back an email. He says, "Okay, sounds good. Give me a budget." So I go, "What the hell's a budget? What do you do with that?" So I type out this thing, whatever best I know, and I schedule it and everything, and he stamps it, and he says, "Yeah, sure, you guys go." So we had to do an ACMA pre-show, an ACMA post-show, 2 episodes of the request line, and 2 feature-length interviews in like 2.5 days. and like it was 120 degrees, and oh my God, what a mess I got us into. And I scheduled everything. So one time we're setting up with a beautiful shot in front of Universal, the theme park there with the globe tour. Yeah. And then the next interview is happening at the Country Star restaurant. The next one's at blah, 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 this venue. And I scheduled everything like our radio interview. So I go, okay, from 10 to 10:30, we're doing this interview. And then from 10:45 to 11. But I didn't allow for travel, lighting, makeup, set design, nothing. So we were scrambling, and it was fun, hilarious. So we touched down in LA, and the second we got a rental vehicle, and we pull up on Sunset Boulevard just to stretch our legs and look around. The second I get out of the vehicle, "Are you Greg Shannon from CMT?" I said, "Ned, get the camera. So he's taking the camera out, and the camera's the size of a freaking like barbecue. They were huge back then. So we get this going, and so it turned out that these people came down because they heard we were going to be down there, and we do our first bit for the Request Line show with these people from Canada right next to us.
Wow.
And then the one other thing was we were entrusted with getting a star to announce the winner of the KFC Mother's Day contest. And I said, yeah, I think I got a connection with Martina McBride through Bruce Allen's office, and I think I could try anyway. And so Dick Clark Productions runs the ACMs, and they're not the easiest people to deal with. And we might as well have been from, whatever, nowhere. CMT Canada held no credence with these people whatsoever. Anyway, we fake our way into this back holding area outside the where all the action's going on, rehearsals are going on. And we're just kind of like staying in the corner and whatever. And all out of the corner of my eye, Reba McEntire is walking into rehearsals. And I go, "Ned, get the camera. So he's like, no pre-roll, nothing. And he hits the button. And I had never met Reba before in my life. And she comes by, and I go, "Hi, Reba," like this. And she goes, "Hi, how you doing?" Like, and pretend she knows me and shakes my hand right on camera. It was beautiful. Beautiful shot. And then I started asking everybody, "Hey, are you going in there?" "Yeah," and stuff. "Can you find Kim?" So she's with Bruce Allen. Tell her that Greg Shannon is outside and wants to see her, blah, blah, blah. So track down Kim, and I said, "Kim, do you think Martina, this is a weird last-minute request, but could she announce the winner of our Kentucky Fried Chicken Mother's Day contest?" And Kim came through. We got Martina. She did the whole thing, and we're going, okay, success. It was great. And we got to see her perform at that ACM Awards. So that would have been I'm going to say it was, what year would that have been? 1999, I think. And she blew the lid off of that arena. She said, "Whatever you say," was what she's saying. And it was just like, wow. Yeah, we scammed our way in and everything. It was beautiful. It was nice. A good trip. Good trip. I forget the original question. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea either.
Ask a radio guy to talk about himself. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Let's have this whole series.
I'm running out of hard disk space. I've got 10 terabytes. It's almost full.
Tip over the studio. Oh, my God.
So is there anybody now that you wish you could have interviewed that you never had the chance? Anyone in the list there that kind of pops out for you?
Yeah, well, people like Don Williams and I missed out on the Don. I almost pulled the pin and went to his last show at the Jubilee, and I didn't do it, and I'll forever regret that. But I had a pretty good run. I would love to have a proper sit-down interview show like this when I was at Power 99 in Prince Albert. That was my second radio gig. Went from country to Power 99, and they had an impressive control room. It was PA Saskatchewan, but it looked like New York because the Rawlinsons, that was the home of the Rawlinson brothers.
Yep.
That was where they started. And that studio was crazy. You stepped up onto a step in the huge horseshoe board, good lighting and everything. And we used to run Rockline at night, and it was Bob Coburn in a studio in Los Angeles sitting down with the Stones and Van Halen, and and these interviews were just like you were right there And I always loved radio when it's dark. That's why I don't like middays, afternoons, whatever. It's got to be early morning, late at night. Otherwise, there's no point to me, because that's when the medium has power, you know?
Yeah.
Just power. So, yeah, to answer your question, I'm sure there's many. I never got a chance to interview Dolly Parton. Jackie's interviewed her numerous times, and I could never do as good of a job as Jackie, so I'm just going to leave that one alone anyway. Acts like, you know, the Eagles and stuff like that. But I've had a pretty good run, so no regrets at all. I got lucky. I got lucky. Lightning struck a bunch of times in my career, so I don't think I would change anything. There was lots of high highs and lots of low lows, but that's the same in anybody's life, I'm sure.
Yeah. Whether
you're in business or not, you know. Absolutely.
Who's in the industry now that you're excited for their careers, or anyone you follow or you're excited about? There's lots of new artists out there now. I mean, it's always new people coming along, but it's got to be a few that pop out for you.
There's a guy named Jade Eagleson who is he's got it, man. I just love watching that guy, and we're kind of like buddies on Instagram, messaging all the time, and he's really funny, and he's just, I believe he's got a long career ahead of him for sure. And there's a guy from Southern Alberta named Trevor Panzak, and for us at CFCW, this guy makes the kind of country music that we can play, and it's well written, and it's coming from a place he knows the audience and everything. And so I get a kick out of Panzak. He's a giant human being. When I first got here, we emceed a Kissel show at Jubilee, and Panzak, he brought Panzak out because he loves him too. And he got to sing a couple of songs, and Panzak lifted Kissel up like he was a baby. So big. And that's his personality too. He's bigger than life, and he's just a great guy, and we share some laughs together, and those kind of guys. And I mean, there's a lot of talent. I'm very impressed. Kissel, Brian talked to us about Brett on our show, and he's absolutely dead on. You're going to find no one in any genre that kills it the way Kissel does on every level, and that's not stopping anytime soon. Like I said this morning on the show, if we don't hear some type of revelation from the Kissel camp on a daily basis 3 to 4 times, there's something wrong. Someone go check on him.
Yeah,
he's incredible. Yeah.
No, it's great to see. It's I think the Canadian music industry especially is in a really good spot. I mean, so many great entertainers, and they've really stepped it up over the last several years. And
they started to realize what our thing is in music meetings is going, look who you're next to on this playlist. You're sandwiched between Don Williams and Tim McGraw. So your level to compete has to be like at least here. It should be here, but it's got to be here because our sound we protect our sound, and the song has to be well written. If it's not a well written song, and that being said, we let a few of those go because there's some feel good kind of acts out there that are laying out. It's fluff, but it's fun fluff, and people need to escape for a couple of minutes and just not think.
Yeah.
It doesn't all have to be deep lyrically, but I am a big fan I'm a huge Ron Hines fan, and I actually had the chance to interview Ron on our show, and I put him through. Sharon Edwards, my old co-host, used to do this thing on CBC, so I stole it for the show, and it was called Songwriter Sweatshop. So I told him, okay, by the end of our segment on the show, you got to give me a song. And I said, the only line you get is a crack in the door. And he wrote this. I still have it in my keeper box because every time I think about Ron Hines, I start to choke up because he's such an extraordinary guy that lived a tortured life, but so much talent. And he wrote a crack in the door, don't let in too much light. And basically it was about a young child being abused. And I was like, this is what he put together in his crazy brain while we were actually doing an interview, and he just jotted it down and had incredible.
Wow.
So yeah, that's probably one of my most standout interviews was Ron Hines. Not that I did a terrific job on the interview, but he was just an extraordinary guy, I thought.
Cool. We'll just wrap up in a couple other questions here. Where do you see you, or where do you see the radio business in the next kind of 10, 20 years?
I think content is always, the world's going to need whatever medium it comes out on. The world needs content creators, content purveyors, and we're infotainment specialists. So people need us. Whether it's in this current form, I don't know, but I think I will always be able to hustle some type of gig with this skill set that I've assembled over a number of years. And I think radio's in good shape. We need more advertisers. We need more people to free up their budgets and really listen to our marketing professionals who are now schooled in all digital platforms. And Stingray is a global company that we have that's on the cable in your house with the music channels, and we got Acuity, which is, tangible measurement of any internet campaign that you're doing. And there's so many different ways that Stingray can help a business. So it's companies like that diversify to get the message out. But really, if you want to brand, $1,000 a month is going to get you 330s a day-ish. Run a schedule so you're hitting different audiences. And on a station like CFCW with the TSL, your listener is going to hear that your ad 3 times, at least 2, but probably 3 with our audience, which is a rarity. Our TSL is huge, but and also I'm open to anything. I'm open to new experiences, and I really love the fun development experience. So I'm never closing the door in that career. Had no idea that it even existed, and anybody that's in show business or in sales or whatever has the skill set to be able to work for a post-secondary or a non-for-profit and help them on their journey just by making relationships and being able to say the words, we would like to talk to you about an investment in the college. You can't be afraid to say we want your money because, why pretend, why beat around the bush?
Yeah. Is there a lot of young people coming up in the radio industry like it used to be, or is it a little bit more scattered?
I think they're still churning them out. But Western Academy, I think because of COVID, there's a smaller class load and stuff. But Don Scott's still churning them out there. And what happened with consolidation and a few big companies taking over radio, it really shrunk opportunities because a lot of things are voice tracked now. So there's 2 or 3 or 4 personalities voice tracking for legions of stations in smaller markets. Yeah. And the argument is it's higher quality entertainment because these are seasoned professionals that are actually talking on the air, but it robs I never would have got anywhere to where I was. I got fired from an all-night show in Saskatoon because it was so horrible. That's how terrible I am at radio. And the only thing that got me better was practicing and having people take a chance on me and let me be behind a microphone. And now there's not as many microphones. There's way more stations than when I started, but way less opportunity because it's all consolidated and it's all voice tracked.
Yeah.
You can go from one end of the country to the other and you can hear the same thing by the same people, the same music and everything. And I agree with you that the local personalities are really missing in the whole industry. Well, and I would like to see some type of deregulation where we have some of these companies let go of some of these smaller ones that don't make them a ton of money anyway, and it's more of a hindrance for the big company portfolio anyway, and let some mom and pops go back and just run lean, but have a great experience for not just the owners, but for the listeners as well. I think it would be better for everyone. It's my opinion. Absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. Wrap up on one more question. Do you have I'm not sure what you would say, but someone that you super admire out there as either like a radio personality or a TV personality that you say, yeah, this is the guy that, or gal that I've always looked up to?
Well, I learned a lot from Howard Stern because they brought him on to satellite for Q107 mornings when I was in Toronto doing Today's Country in the 90s.
Yeah.
And, just the way he would play with the audience and lead them down the garden path and slap them and turn them this way. And he just had a bigger picture view of what a show was, and brilliant entertainer. So, and now Howard, of course, has changed his entire approach, and he is now the kinder, gentler, softer Howard and getting the bigger interviews all the time and everything. Yeah. So it just goes to show you, even Howard Stern has to evolve to the audience's tastes and likes and needs of the day. So I really admire him for that. And a guy like Seacrest is taking over the world. I don't know what deal he made with the devil, but there's, he is unbelievable. Now he's like a Regis, and Kelly took over for Regis, which is crazy because Regis to me was the man. I read all Regis's books.
Yeah.
And Larry King, when I was Teresa was in Bonnyville. I met her in Bonnyville, and I was working in St. Paul, and then she moved to UFC to go to university right away. So I would do, when I'd have my day and a half off, I would drive all night to Calgary in my little Ford Ranger and listen to Larry King live coming out of the States. And I just, oh my God, that fueled my fire for radio. It was so good. And he just have these weird and interesting people on with his incredible voice. And so most of the guys I admire are dead, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. We're on the way.
I do, without sucking up or anything, I do admire Jackie, because Jackie Ray, she is very articulate and very, very, I mean, she's old, so she should be by now, let's be honest. But she is really schooled and well-read, and she does some incredible interviews. So I look up to her, and I try and change my style so that I can get more into the adult world and not be so juvenile all the time, which is kind of a crutch for me. And now I try as much as I can to talk about real things like my family without being that guy. I never overexploited my kids on the air or any of that stuff. I used them once in a while for clips and throughout the journey. And my son Sawyer was basically born on the Request Line TV show. I had to leave the show in the middle of the show and go get him taken care of. But yeah, I don't know. I had a really good ride. I'm pretty happy to be here, and you guys having me on, this was huge. I haven't been a guest on a show since probably Mike Bullard. And that was a ways ago.
Yeah.
Well, some radio commercials around here still for a car dealership.
Oh, Mike Bullard does?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. The show, when I did the show, it was during CMT, and it was pretty professional. It was big time. They did a really nice job. I was on with Farmer's Daughter, and they kept poking fun at me, so I got more airtime than I deserved because I was sitting next to Farmer's Daughter. So that was good.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. We need another like a national kind of talk show guy, because I thought Strombo did a great job, and he reacted to the times and shortened up the show, and it was fast paced and really good interviews, and still couldn't afford to do that, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. I know we do. Well, it's been an awesome conversation, and it's been great having you on, and I'm sure everyone's going to have a great listen to this one. It was a great interview. Loved having you on.
It's like a mini series. It's like Lonesome Dove, or you got to take little bite-sized pieces every day.
Yeah, you got to hurry up. You got to hurry up. The 6 o'clock news is almost starting.
Pass our love on to everybody at the station.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Take care.
Yeah.